Joe Kelly is my new favorite baseball player by far. Now, the mayor, Sean Casey, obviously OG, Kevin Youkilis, also one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those guys are up there because they've come on the show when a lot of other professional baseball players have not come on the show. So I immediately have bias and say, hey, like those guys, because they've come on the show and they get the show and they watch the show, I think. So when they come on, the banter is always better with people who know what's going on. Like Urlacher, for instance. Urlacher watches either clips of the show or knows the show a little bit. So when he comes on and just starts going after people, it's like, yeah, that is somebody that knows the show. Like, I like that a lot. But now, this Joe Kelly character, after this offseason, he was practicing a pitch at his house. This was during quarantine. Nobody knew whether or not baseball was going to come back. The thought was maybe the bubble in Arizona, the bubble in Florida, and the baseball players. Trevor Bauer also, I like him. Oh, my God, I can't believe I forgot about Trevor Bauer, Bauer outage. Can't believe I forgot about him. I like Trevor and this guy tied for my favorite baseball players. Let me go ahead and reiterate that. Trevor Bauer, Bauer outage is up there as number one as well. Any pitcher that will get upset, turn around, and throw the ball over the center field wall is a guy that I want to be friends with. Speaking of, this Joe Kelly character this offseason was practicing a new pitch, he said, in his house, at his backyard, and he misses this net that might be 30 yards wide at this point, right? And you think professional baseball pitcher, this guy's going to be able to control where the hell that 5-ounce piece of whatever is going, okay? You would always think that. Whenever I got into the batter's box for the Washington Wild Things for the first time in my entire life, facing off against a pitcher who was a professional pitcher at one point, still is a professional pitcher, was a professional pitcher at the same time, drafted to the
Brewers.
Okay, drafted to the Brewers. I was scared to death. I felt like Henry Rowan Gardner. I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stand in the back corner, and I'm going to do that shrink thing where there's no strike zone, okay? And I'm going to try to get on that way or whatever. Then everybody told me, no. He's professional. He knows where it's going. Okay, you'd be in a much worse spot if you were in a drunk baseball league with some pitcher who had a strong arm and had no idea where it was going. Then a video popped up of Joe Kelly, and he misses this entire thing and breaks a window in his house. So this is awesome. Okay, I watch this video and I go, my guy, this is like a golfer that shanks a shot and I see him hit it 2 yards. I'm like, my guy, like that is something I could do. So then we fast forward, obviously, to Joe Kelly of the Los Angeles Dodgers, formerly of the Red Sox, by the way, which have some question marks surrounding their morality as well.
No. We were cleared.
You're right. Okay, I'm so sorry. That, by the way, does not take away from my love for this guy. And he, against the Astros, when all of us thought and wondered, are the Astros going to be punished for what happened pre-quarantine? Because remember, before quarantine, before COVID-19 came through and put a stranglehold on everything, there was spring training happening in Arizona for the Astros. And people were showing up with signs and garbage cans in the crowd. There was security having to take the signs and the garbage cans and everything out of the... And that was going to be the normal now for the Houston Astros going forward because of the allegations and the things that came out about them cheating to win a World Series and Rob Manfred saying, what am I going to do? Take away the piece of metal and scrape it under the rug. And then, okay, oh no, fans heard about it. What do? Well, they're going to be pissed. Let's take away their signs at least. And then COVID comes through and then real life happens to everybody. Real life happens. Not that the garbage can cheating scandal that kind of shocked the entire sports world wasn't real life, but real life came through for people. People were, locked in their houses. People were getting sick. People were passing away. Then there became this entire political war that's happening between every single news site and every human on the internet. It's just like the real war. And then the social injustice and then the protests, which turned into riots with this. So everything kind of happened very quickly for the rest of the world, for all of us to experience together. So in the sports world, you can't help but wonder, like, I wonder if the Houston Astros are watching this all like, oh, thank God. Our little garbage can thing and maybe the shocking thing on our chest that we would get from an algorithm computer that's in the dugout that was basically telling us exactly when a curveball was going to hang a little bit, and we were batting, 1,000 at home and all this. I mean, I wonder if everybody's going to forget about that. And I think we all did. Yep. We all did kind of forget about that. Joe Kelly did not. Yes. Joe Kelly did not forget about that. Joe Kelly put, I believe it was a splitter or something that got close and hit somebody, and then there was a 96-mile-an-hour fastball at somebody's head. Okay. And then there was obviously the interaction going off where Joe Kelly's like, "Oh, cry about, go cry in your World Series ring that you guys cheated to get." That's basically, get out of here. And then he even tells him to shut up, I believe, is the mouth. And then he goes off. Then the internet goes upside down. Baseball all of a sudden is interesting. By the way, baseball coming back, Tony Fauci hurting his arm in warm-ups and then tore his arm. 70 years old, guy hasn't played catch in 2 decades or so. He's been, I'm not going to say what he's been up to.
Roethlisberger syndrome.
Oh yeah. I heard you felt real good about that line the other day. By the way, I heard you.
I'll refrain from doing Roethlisberger.
You love it. But anyways, we watch him just throw it in the dirt down the first baseline. Worst opening pitch of all time. He did say he blew out his arm beforehand, so way to tough it out there, Fauch. But
needs Tommy John's.
What if he has to get Tommy John? What if they? You know what might happen is a vaccine for tennis elbow.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
If that happens, we might get a vaccine for tennis
Fauci elbow,
which would be very nice. Yeah, if we can cure Fauci elbow, I think all of the MLB will care. But they get a big bump, right? Giancarlo Cruz, Mikey Stanton hits a ball 500 feet. There was a Garrett Cole was throwing a hundo. Scherzer was throwing nasty. There was 6 innings, so it was a little bit shorter. Their ratings were through the roof. Baseball was good. And then what happened immediately after that game, by the way? Baseball kind of found its level again, kind of drifted back down into the world of sports. They're talking about other things instead of baseball. They're talking about drama off the field in other sports that may not even happen on most sports shows, not even about the baseball that is happening. And then what happens? Hero, Joe Kelly comes in and throws mud at a guy's head. The entire world's talking about baseball again. Holy hell, there's a little personality and competitive and attitude in baseball. Oh my God, there's a little bit of revenge, which by the way is supposed to be like the sacred code of baseball. The strike zone might not be the same size with every umpire. That's the sacred code of baseball. That's a human error thing. Oh yeah, by the way, if you do something to disrespect the game or my team, I'm probably going to try to bean you. That's the sacred code of baseball. These are the things that baseball people say, no. That's what makes baseball special is that they do that. And then all of a sudden, piece of metal, Rob Stooge Manfred comes in and goes, oh, no, can't do that. We're suspending. Take over the news cycle? You're talking about taking over the news cycle? And most of it's good and awesome? Granted, we know it's dangerous. Okay, I know it's very dangerous for that to happen. That's not good. I wish he would have aimed at his spleen instead of his head. Like,
Smart.
I wish there would have been a little bit more couth there from Angry Joe Kelly, who we do know is a bit of a hothead. He has done this before with Boston, got ejected and suspended for games in Boston because of him being a competitive maniac.
Oh, yeah.
He went to the game. He was suspended and sat in the crowd with his family. I mean, this dude is a savage, obviously. And I know Rob Manfred probably had to say, like, hey, listen, we can't be having all these pitchers who have incredibly strong arms. Euclid told us that everybody's throwing fast now, just aiming at these Astros' heads like, we can't do it. We just can't do it. And now you got the entire internet going, 8 games, dude? That's the equivalent of like a 22-game suspension in a regular season. 13% of the season, this dude's getting suspended for doing something that the sacred sanctity of baseball would recommend him doing, and also taking over the news cycle for it. Granted, I'm not saying that if you're an Astros player, you love this, or you're an Astros fan, you love this. But I think even the Astros were pimping going into the season that they knew this could potentially happen to them. Going into spring training before COVID-19, they were like, gets on base or whatever. There was like, they knew that this was potentially going to happen because this is baseball. So now he's suspended more than any Houston Astro player was suspended, which is something that Carabas tweeted last night from Barstool, which got, I think, 106,000 likes or 25,000 retweets or something like that. And for those that don't know the internet, that is a massive tweet, which, by the way, probably means most of the internet agrees with what Carabas said. So therefore, now baseball has somehow gone right back to the same stupid spot they were before this entire thing, as being a league that doesn't know how to handle anything in the perfect fashion. When I thought they were on their way back, by the way. Rob Manfred, after the Marlins situation, he comes out and says players' health is paramount to us and blah, 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 and he fixes things. They lock down things. They move some games. They postpone games, try to keep everyone safe. It felt like Manfred was like making good decisions after a terrible quarantine. Some would say maybe the worst quarantine of any commissioner. Definitely worst quarantine of any commissioner. Then he thought he was coming back. Now he does this, and everybody's like, hey, bro, it's a 60-game season. If you suspend him 2 games, I think everybody's like, okay, makes sense.
Yep.
You suspend them 3 games. I think everybody's like, okay, makes sense. But the equivalent to a 22-game season, that is a large suspension. And the internet was like, yo, I'm not even a baseball fan, but I was intrigued there for a little bit if this guy's just throwing straight cheese at dudes' faces. I mean, this is something we could watch. And now here we are. I assume he's trying to protect the league. But I think everybody is just kind of like, yo, come on, bro, get over it.
Yeah, I mean, this is Rob Manfred's fault completely. If he would have suspended any of the Astros after everything that happened, I think guys would have been like, I mean, they still would have probably thrown at people on the Astros, but I think they would have understood it a little bit. You let them get off scot-free, they don't do anything. Every player we've talked to on this show about the situation was pissed about it. They're like, yeah, that's not right. Like, this is altering guys' careers and stuff like that. So they had to expect something like that. I mean, I get the punishment because he's trying to set an example. They don't want people throwing him at him all year, but this is completely Rob Manfred's fault.
Completely, this guy. And now, somehow, he takes a shovel and digs himself in deeper in the entire situation. Good self-awareness.
I think that he did a harsh suspension, not because he threw at the guy, because he threw at the Astros player, which now brings up the scandal again, which highlights again how poorly he originally handled it. So he doesn't want it being brought up continuously and him being looked like a stooge all season long.
I mean, that's very deep for sure. Very, very deep what you're saying there. But, I mean, anytime the Astros play, it's going to get mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just something that's going to happen anytime the Astros play. Here comes Bregman. It was alleged that he had a electric device on his chest telling him when curveballs are coming, let's see if he can hit it without one.
The commentators. I mean, the commentators were eviscerating Altuve. Altuve struck out looking, and they're like, it looked like he was guessing wrong on that one. Much easier when you know what's coming.
Yeah, like that's going to happen, I think. So if Rob Manfred wants to make a league-wide mandate that this is like a football that we're going to bury and never talk about or think about again for everybody, commentators, hey, fans, you guys are a part of this too, everybody in the MLB, that'd be an interesting and aggressive choice, but instead he goes the opposite direction as trying to set a precedent for what happened if we continue to do this, and we'll see how it pans out. I could be wrong. Maybe this was a good idea, and maybe there will be no more faces potentially getting hit with 5 ounces of leather from Joe Kelly and other pitchers that are potentially more pissed off now from the punishment for the pitcher, not for the team, because is the MLB an anti-pitching league?
Whoa.